Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade. I want to welcome everyone to our weekly trading plan webinar. And of course, special welcome to the new people. As you could find in the title, that's pretty much what we do here. We try to make a plan for the upcoming week. A few words about myself. Simon Friedman, that's my name. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I've been trading or involved with trading for the past 23 years. I started as a professional prop trader back in New York. I did it for about 11 years straight. Lots of excitement, lots of stress. So after 11 years, I moved into a more peaceful way of trading. And I also started to mentor and educate other traders. And currently, I'm very happy that I have an opportunity to assist our customers at AvaTrade. And this is the agenda. What we try to do pretty much every week, we talk about indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. And just to stress how important it is to have a plan, as you know, not just in trading, in any aspect of our lives, by spending a few minutes or whatever time we need to make a plan can save us a lot of issues and create a structure and possibly improve the results. Of course, no guarantees, but definitely less chaos when we do spend time on some planning. Risk warning. You can find a full statement at avatrade.com. What we try to do here is definitely not suggesting any trades. It's purely educational. Now, I'm very excited to encourage you to participate and subscribe to our channels. You have Telegram, Twitter. I think this bird in the process to be changed to an X. Since Elon Musk is the owner of the company. I don't know if it already happened. I forgot to follow up, but that's what I heard last week on the news. I think Bloomberg spoke about it. And of course, the YouTube channel, you have amazing material there as far as tutorials, educational material. You have webinars, including this one, that you can access at your convenient time. If you missed a webinar, they all are being recorded, or most of them, and you can always access at your convenient time and watch it. And definitely, I would encourage you to subscribe. You can share if you feel that material that you watch is useful. Click on that bell. You'll be notified when new things are coming in. And definitely feel free to write your comments, your questions. I will be happy to see them. Okay, before we go into economic calendar, I'll just return back not to confuse you. So we had a pretty busy week. We had an announcement as planned. Into the announcement based on CME futures, that was almost 99% probability that the Feds will have another increase, and that's exactly what happened. And then we had the press conference, and it looks like investors and traders got excited because even though the Feds are still on the same course to bring the inflation to 2%, but Powell sounded a little bit more encouraging as far as the economy. So it looks like we are trying, or we are going to avoid recession, and there's more probability of a soft landing, and market reacted to it. We had a nice run in the markets. Plus, we are continuing the earnings season for the second quarter, and we'll talk about it when we get to the indices. So those are the things. And then we had another bunch of economic data coming on Friday that also showed that inflation is slowing a little bit. So market reacted to it on Friday as well. And of course, we have a super big week in front of us. And I think the highlight of the week will be the NFP numbers. And that's on Friday, as usual, the first Friday of the month. We'll find out how many jobs were added, and we'll find out about the interest rate the unemployment rate and other things that are important for the Feds in their further decisions. That's it pretty much. Let's go into the economic calendar and just a few explanations to new people. You can find economic calendar on our web trader or the app. You can Google it. It's a public information. A lot of providers providing it. So again, the same as planning, knowing in advance that certain things are happening could actually help you in either making decisions or making trades or avoiding trades or getting out of the trades, whatever or however you might apply it. Here, I take out only the high impact events. Otherwise, it would be so much. So this week is full of high impact, as you could see. So let's just go quickly through them. Again, high impact here, right? You can filter them. You can find whatever relates to your trading. So start with China. We'll talk about China index when we get there. A nice run towards the end of the week. So we have manufacturing PMI, non-manufacturing PMI. We have retail sales from Germany. We have CPI numbers and GDP numbers from European Union. Lots of data. Tuesday, we have another manufacturing PMI from China. We have interest rate decision from Australia. There's a plan for another 0.25 increase. As last week we had Feds, we also had European Central Bank increased as well. So we have the decision coming. And when we get to Australian dollar, you'll see that it's been weak. Maybe this announcement or increase might help it a little bit. We have manufacturing PMI from US and employment data from New Zealand. Then Wednesday, we have ADP employment change. That just gives us a little bit of an idea or speculation what could be the NFPs on Friday. Thursday, we have trade balance from Australia, service PMI from China, CPI numbers from Switzerland. And we have, excuse me, we have interest rate decisions from Bank of England coming with a bunch of other things. Of course, the summary and the speech similar to the press conference of Powell in the US. So the whole focus, of course, on Thursday will be to the British pound. Service PMI from US, that's the last thing on Thursday. And Friday is the key day. So it starts with monetary policy statement from Australia, retail sales from European Union, and we have NFP numbers from US. And of course, it doesn't show here, but it's also comes with unemployment rate. You have average hourly earnings and so, and employment data also from Canada. Usually they come together unless it's a holiday or other things with the dates. Okay, so we have a lot of things to watch for the upcoming week, and this is the economic calendar. Okay, so we're gonna move now to the MT4 and start talking about markets. So as we said, a lot of announcement this week, and we start with indices. As I mentioned, China had a huge run on Friday, and interestingly enough, we are approaching this double top that we had before this recent sell-off, and we'll be watching this level. So before the sell-off, before this tail, we stopped this last attempt to break through the previous high, and the high here, as you could see, was 13,452.5. So we're almost there. We had a huge move on Friday, and let's see how we play. If we get to this level, we might just retrace back down. Anything could happen, or we can just go straight and break through it. But we definitely, if we do touch that level, we probably trigger a lot of war here, a lot of actions, fights between buyers and sellers like we had here and we had here. So definitely we'll be watching that. And if this is not your first time, you know, the moment I speak about China, I bring up a few other instruments, and let's take a look. Normally, they would react in a positive way as well in this case, and that's copper and oil. So take a look, copper synchronized with China. We did have a nice move on Friday, and we are hitting straight to 200 moving average. Let's see what this upcoming week brings us. So copper definitely watching. Also here, as you could see, similar to Chinese index, we are experiencing, I'm going to draw the line just for visualization. We had top, we almost reached there. So we're trying to really to test that level around, what's that, 395, 396. So let's see if Chinese index continues and if copper will try to test that level again. And crude oil also had a strong day on Friday. And as you could see here, we're trying to break out of this a very long time resistance. This is a weekly chart. I'm right here. So we start fighting this level from last year around November when we broke below it again. And we had a tremendous amount of attempts to break through it. Every time we tried that level around 80, we came right back. Here, there was a lot of hope. We went closed and open and closed about that level. That was back in April. And then we sold to what, almost $64 here, right? Yeah, below 64. So we are at this challenge again, around $80. Let's see what happens there. Also, when it comes to China, sometimes we could see moves in a similar manner with something they called currency, commodity currencies, and that's Australian and New Zealand dollars, which Australia and New Zealand are big suppliers of commodities to China. So let's take a look what they do. Australian dollar didn't go up. It actually went down. As I mentioned, Australian dollar has been weak. And of course, it's related to the strength of a US dollar, as this is the pair against the US dollar, and New Zealand dollar as well. That didn't really work out. And that's because of the strength of a dollar that we had in the recent days. But we'll get to Forex when we get there. Okay, so that's as far as China. And again, I'll explain why I'm focusing on China every time we speak about markets, because it's a big indication of what's happening. Even though a lot of US companies currently, actually, there's a big thing to pay attention to. A lot of businesses actually moving from China to India, which is great for India, and that includes also Apple. That's one of the things that's been talked about a lot. So, but still, China is, I call it the factory of the world. So if China is doing bad, that means that companies that are producing things in China could be reflecting it and vice versa. So that's as far as China. Now, Nikkei, as I mentioned to you last week, we had on Friday, there was an interest rate decision from Bank of Japan. And every time we get close to that decision, there's always a hope that this is going to be the day that they will finally increase the rates, and nothing was done. Still the same, no changes. So that means that's going to be a lot of pressure on the next decision. So it was no increase, and as you could see here, take a look, Nikkei was going down. This is, I'm just bring 1 hour chart just to show you. Nikkei was going down into the announcement. That means there was a big hope that probably, maybe this time we'll see that increase. That's really, really kind of everybody's hoping for. And it didn't happen. So we had a nice recovery really fast. There was spikes, of course, into the announcement, and then a recovery. So Nikkei is very happy. This is the Japan index, Japanese index, as there was no increase in interest rate from Bank of Japan. So that's as far as Nikkei. Now, let's go to US indices. And you know what, before we do that, I just want to show you something which is interesting. So on the positive note, this is the article from marketwatch.com. So it says right here, it's a great time for bulls. Soft landing views solidify the U.S. stock market. So that's the reaction, of course, to the Powell and the Feds and the economy and so on. So it's a positive thing right here. And it says right here, trillions of dollars have been cautious now, now maybe deciding to come into the market. So it's kind of encouraging, right? But then, of course, we need to be really objective here. So this is the thing that I used when I did the market review for my team last week, and I found this also on a Market Watch. And this is the historical data. And as you know, or you might have heard, that Dow Jones had, as of 25th of July, had the 12 consecutive sessions to the upside. So they give the statistics here, and this was the strongest one, dates, and they write, actually, there's not a mistake, dates to 1897. Okay, so as of June 14th of 1897, Dow Jones had 14 consecutive sessions, positive sessions. And it says right here that a month later, it was up another 6.4%. 3 months later, it was up 28.84, and 1 year, 21.51, right? Then, I'm not going to read all of it, but what's interesting here, and they write it here, right here, is that we had the 13 sessions, by the way, or 14th, I'm not sure, but they write it here, the Black Monday, if you remember the Black Monday, I wasn't trading back then. I was young or younger. The Black Monday market crash, which saw the Dow drop more than 22% in a single day, occurred 9 months after 13-day streak that ended in January 1987. Now, after that drop that we had 22% in one day, that's what they call it, Black Monday. 1 year later, the index was lower by 10.7%. So this is the 1987. So interesting. On one hand, everybody's excited. On the other hand, they're showing us this is the statistics and a nice article. This is just part of it. I just took a screenshot that after 13 consecutive positive sessions, Dow Jones 9 months later had a drop of 22%. So let's just remember this. Anything could happen. We could be running and breaking the highs, or maybe in a few months or 9 months, it could be the same thing. We could be talking, remembering this day when we spoke about the statistics, and sometimes history repeats itself. So again, it's important to be objective. There's always two sides. In this case, everybody's excited, as you saw here, that money is ready to enter the market, which is very encouraging. And here they show us that in 1987, after the same amount of consecutive wins, 9 months later, there was a crash of 22% one day. Okay, just something that I felt that I needed to share with you. Okay, let's return to the chart. So here comes Dow Jones, right? Now let's see. Let's just start with Dow Jones, actually. And a nice move, 3 consecutive weeks. And we right at the point from which we made a lower low and kind of a move down. And there was somewhere in February of last year, we'll continue till the end of the year, almost till October, September, October, till we had a reversal. So it could be that we'll find the top around here, or it could be that we'll be on the way to retest the all-time highs. I guess the time will show. Sorry, I'm just going to take a sip of water. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's Dow Jones. S&Ps also at the key level here. We touched it, I think. This was the spike on March 27th. We hit the high of 4630.75, and let's see if we hit it. Yeah, we passed it by about 4 points, but then we went lower. This is the weekly chart, right? So as you could see on Thursday, after hitting that thing, we closed lower. It was a sell-off on Thursday, right? Before we had the positive data on Friday that brought it back. So also that's another one that's really sitting at the very key level that might be a resistance. And here comes NASDAQ. Same thing with the spike on Thursday, closed lower, Friday, very strong day. So just to give you an idea, on Friday, Dow Jones was up 0.5%, S&P was up 1%, and Nasdaq was the strongest one again, jumped 1.9%. And it's the best day according to statistics here, and it's the best day for Nasdaq since late May, right? So that's as far as US indices. Now let's take a look at DAX. DAX, it looks like a lot of indices are really facing major resistance. DAX is actually challenging the all-time high, and this is the weekly chart here. We hit the all-time high week of June 11th, and the high there was 16,570. Let's see if we hit it. We actually passed it by 5 points again. We briefly made an all-time high, and then we retraced towards the end of the day. Okay, so that's DAX, the German index. And here you go. Nikkei, the US index, is not as strong. It's not challenging the all-time highs, but it is challenging this recent resistance from which we had a sell-off, and that was mid-June. So let's see what we do with Nikkei the upcoming week. And of course, just to remind you, we spoke about the economic calendar. So there's an interest rate decision from UK. So definitely will be affecting the local market. Now, French index, similar to DAX, is actually challenging the all-time highs. And we hit the all-time high on the week of April 9th. So we could be breaking. We tried, we didn't hit it yet. So challenging the all-time high. So that's as far as indices. Again, China was strong on Friday. US indices were strong on Friday. European indices were strong on Friday. And on all of them, we are challenging very serious strategic levels. On some, that's the all-time highs. On others, the recent resistance. Okay, now also individual stocks. We're going to go into stocks now. So far for this this time around with the announcements, according to FactSet, I'm just quoting what I found online. 81% of companies in the S&P 500 they beat earnings estimates, and it's better than the typical 77%. So again, that's according to FactSet, whatever that means. And that's a good sign. And it looks like this run of the market, some analysts said it's really justified as a lot of companies are reporting good news. So now this upcoming week, we also have a third of S&P's reporting. It's 165 companies are reporting. We're going to go into a few of them in a moment. But first, let's see what last week brought to us. And we had Google. Google had good news. The stock gapped and continued and closed the week on the highs. A strong performance. And also, of course, we're not at all-time highs, but we are on the way to retest certain levels. Let's see how this week will play for Google. Now, Microsoft, that was considered to be a leader in AI, was a little bit disappointing on that front, and the stock gap down, and we didn't manage to get close to that gap. So it shows a little bit of a weakness here on Microsoft. Facebook, I think, one of the biggest reasons why Nasdaq was the strongest on Friday. It's really skyrocketing. So interesting here, it gapped on Thursday, but because the market pulled in, Facebook pulled in as well. But then on Friday, recovered and closed right at the highs of the previous day. So Facebook is very strong. Intel, also good news. As you could see, there was a gap. They tried to sell it, and they would close a little bit higher. But also take a look. We are challenging the previous resistance that was back in mid-June. So let's see if this time we'll break through it. There's a mixed prediction from banks, different target prices being set. You can Google it and see. I'm not going to quote because I didn't write specifics and I don't want to give you misinformation. But some banks are setting up 38, some 42, some actually stay at 28. So it's a mixed prediction as far as targets. But as you could see here on the weekly chart, Intel, which of course is the chip maker or the processor maker, it is trying to break out of this resistance that we had back in June. So that's as far as Intel. Few other stocks had a nice move. That's Johnson & Johnson, that's facing now possible resistance at the current levels. This were where we really started the sell-off back in January of this year. So we're right at that level. Let's see what happens. And I just want to mention another pharmaceuticals that we've been talking pretty much a few sessions, and that's Teva, the generic medication company or producer. And slowly it's stepping. We spoke about it around here on 720, 740, and the stock is nicely moving higher, and it closed at 855 so far. We are between 100 and 200 moving average. And just to remind you and to share with the new people, we spoke about it as it has a potential of moving in these huge ranges here between $7 and $11. So something to watch. We could potential, as you could see, every time we consolidate and move higher in the current trend. So we might continue and retest the 200 moving average. Let's see what happens there. Now, this week, like I said, it's going to be a lot of companies reporting, 165 out of 500 S&P companies. And the major ones, like we had last week, we had Google and Microsoft and Facebook. Now we're having Apple and Amazon. So let's take a quick look at the stocks currently, what they do. So you could see here, Amazon is fighting this previous level from which was sold. So let's see if we have some surprise positive earnings or surprise negative earnings. So let's see what the stocks will be doing. And they are reporting this week. So that's Amazon. We have Apple as well. Just to remind you, Apple is the first $3 trillion companies. And on the weekly chart, the previous week, we had a spike to all-time highs, then we retraced, and now we're pretty much trying to challenge that level again. And let's see what happens this week. So these two stocks are reporting. So I just want to mention a few other stocks. We have Pfizer, Uber, Marriott, Caterpillar. On Tuesday, on Wednesday, we have Amazon. As I mentioned, Alibaba is also reporting on Wednesday. PayPal is reporting on Wednesday. Qualcomm, Shopify reporting on Wednesday. And Apple is reporting on Thursday. So definitely we have Apple and Amazon as of the major stocks reporting this week. And of course, there's a few others, another 163, right? So that's as far as stocks. Let's see what happens in the upcoming week. Now, let's go into commodities. And we start with the ones that we mentioned briefly with China when we spoke about. So copper here, as we mentioned, it had a strong Friday. Let's see if we are trying to break this recent resistance around 395, 396. If that happens, crude oil, we mentioned that it is back to this resistance that's been happening since November of last year. We're really having a big issue breaking this level and moving higher. Let's see what happens this time. So that's as far as oil. Let's take a look at natural gas. Natural gas is sitting now above the 260. Let's go to daily charts to be clear. So if you remember, we spoke about $2.60, the level that had been a key level for a while. This is March. We tried it. We sold to the new lows, not the all-time lows, but the lows according to the previous ones. And then we start building. So far, actually, starting from this sell-off back in April, we start making higher highs and higher lows. So that's an encouraging situation here. We can even draw something like this. So take a look. We start zigzagging to the upside, and this was the attempt to retest the $3. We didn't succeed, and we came back to really play with 260, and it looks like we succeeding holding this level. So as of now, we clearly, after a few high highs and high lows, we're trying to build this uptrend here, and we kind of are sticking to the 50-day moving average. We're really sitting on it. So we might see that move to the upside or not, or we might just go below again. And if we do, we might actually challenge this trend line somewhere along the way. So natural gas we'll be watching. Soft commodities, still a lot of issues. There was a summit in St. Petersburg in Russia where a lot of representatives from African countries came, and they spoke about things. And I think President of South Africa or representative, I'm not sure who that was, he actually was strong with his statement. He said, we didn't come here to get any presents. We really want this issue solved. We want to have a steady supplies of wheat to our country. So let's see if anything happens this upcoming week. But if you remember, we spoke about wheat, and wheat actually, after the sell-off, reacted to the end of this grain treaty, I think call it, that UN and Turkey brokered between Ukraine and Russia. So first it was on the 17th, I think Russia came out of it and started bombing the port of Odessa. I mentioned last week, I think. And so we had a move, and we challenged this previous high, as we had over here as well back in February. So we had this level on February 21st. Then we had it again on June 26th. And then on the 24th, which was last week, we challenged it. We tried to break, but we couldn't. And then we broke below the 200 moving average. So let's see, as far as geopolitics, let's see if we have any new developments here. But if it continues lower, it might come to retest these levels around here, around 650, 648. And if we are moving higher, we're definitely going to be challenging this 769, 770 level. So that's as far as wheat. Corn is the weakest. You really tried to run, but it didn't really break the 50-day moving average, and we retraced to the downside. So that's as far as agricultural soft commodities. Now, cotton, I was looking at the cotton. It's really at an interesting level. Let's see if I can find it now. Where are you, cotton? Here we go. Take a look. On the cotton, we're really sitting. Something that it's really worth watching is this channel has been going for a while, and usually when you have a long accumulation like that, it's going to be a strong move. Of course, we don't know which way. It could go up, it could go down, who knows. But we tried, you see, this past week we tried to break out of it, but a nice move to the upside, but then in 2 sessions we really sold. So it looks like it's rejecting this top of the channel or resistance around 89.29. There are few attempts. It goes all the way here. A lot of actions around this level. So you see this red line around 89.29. Resistance that will build support. We had a huge move to the upside, came back, almost hit it on the support, then we broke through it, and then it went back into being resistance for a very long time. As I said, when we entered below this level, that was September 25th of last year, and we're having a hard time breaking back above that. So huge accumulation for a very long time, and this channel has been happening for a while. So let's see if we make another attempt to the upside or around support around $80. Maybe some buyers will step in again, and from there they push it up. So definitely worth watching which way we're going to break, either to the upside or to the downside, which is also possible. So that's it as far as commodities. Let's move to Forex, and we start with dollar index, which has been strong in the past few days. Let's take a look. Dollar index, okay. So here's that daily chart. It was a huge sell-off since we couldn't break the 103 around here. Sell-off went all the way to 99, almost $99, $99.20. And from there, we had a nice recovery here, and we went above 100. And this is the levels from which we made a move over here, a high, and that started from the 100.66 right here, according to this chart. Excuse me. And then we came back to this level again in mid-April, and then we tried, but we made a lower high. So let's try to actually draw the trend line here. So we are on the daily chart. We're kind of in a downtrend, not kind of, but a clear downtrend here, as we've been holding here, but this after a lower high and another one, we actually made a lower low and below the previous double bottom here. But then we recovered, went above 100. And as you could see on Thursday, was a nice move to the upside, which reminds me of gold. I missed the gold, so I'll go to it in a moment, because gold went the other direction that day, the opposite, of course. And over here on Friday with the spike both sides, and we closed pretty much close to the opening price, still down closing. So let's see what this week brings. But let me quickly fix my mistake here, and I'll go to gold for a moment. As you could see, gold sold really heavily on that day when the dollar moved to the upside. That was on Thursday. And Friday, we are back about our key level. As you know, we've been watching this level closely for a very long time. Here, all these actions around 1955, we did close above it. So, and we also held the 50 moving average. So this week on gold, there is a possibility of moving higher. And if we are choosing to go lower, we need to, again, close or move below 1955 and start building resistance. Okay, back to Forex. So with that dollar index, we'll go to a few major ones. Here we go. We had a nice run on euro until we came back to 110. If you remember, I mentioned a few times the 110 is a key level for euro, as we had. This was the end of this huge move to the upside right there. We had a lot of actions here for a while. Then we broke through it. We had a nice uptrend here, but then we came right below. So euro 110 is now being challenged to be a resistance here at this point. British pound, it is keeping above the all moving averages, and we're actually having a nice uptrend over here, which on Thursday we broke below a little bit, but we're trying to fix it. So let's see if we get above this trend line and continue higher. Of course, that decision from Bank of England in the upcoming week might be actually pushing it up. But it's not just decision, as similar to the Powell's testimonies or press conferences. The speech of the governor of Bank of England also definitely will be adding either to the upside or the downside of the pound. So definitely pound is worth watching this upcoming week. Now, as I mentioned to you, Australian dollar has been weak against most of the currencies, and we also have an interest rate decision this week. Definitely should be watching. Now, USD ZAR, a lot of actions here, a lot of hopes of fans of a dollar in this case were broken, and after almost hitting 20, we had a huge move to the downside, correction, and a lower low. So we're technically in the downtrend on dollar ZAR, and we are on Thursday, before the recovery, we were as low as 17.41. But what I'd like to pay attention to actually is this level here, 1784. This was the spike back in 2016. So around that level definitely is worth watching. But as of now, if you take a look at back to daily chart, we are trading around the 1770, and the recent low we should watch. If we break this level 1741, we might continue lower. And as of now, the 200 moving average has been a strong resistor. We couldn't really break above it since this recent sell-off. So definitely we'll be watching USD ZAR on possible reversal if the dollar regains strength, and if the US dollar continues the weakness, we might see actually continuation to the downside. Now, this not really widely used currency that I've been talking for the past few weeks, it's working out nicely. We spoke about it somewhere here before this move. If you remember, I mentioned the fundamentals with the Prime Minister of Hungary and the issue with him blocking the economic aid to Ukraine and so on. So a move happened that was in the past, of course. Then we had the sell-off with the sell-off US dollar. It's totally US dollar related, nothing to do with forint, with the currency of Hungary. And then the moment we crossed back about this 335, that was the previous kind of double bottom or triple, if you want to say it. We had a nice move to the upside, and we are sitting around here, around 347, 348. Let's see how dollar acts this week. We might continue, and if we all continue higher, we might challenge this recent high on Hungarian forint at around 357. Okay, so we'll be watching that, and of course, if it goes down, we'll be watching this level around 335, 336 on a possible support. Okay, now that's it pretty much about the Forex, and let's just take a look at our cryptos, and it looks like we're really building this interesting, right? Sitting on the 50-day moving average. So after this sell-off below 30,000, we don't really see a recovery. So when you have this move to the downside and a lot of actions at the bottom of this move, it could be a setup for continuation to the downside, but we're not going to speculate because we can easily go back to 30 and break. So as of now, we're sitting right on, take a look at how it goes together with the 50-day moving average here. So let's see what brings, what this new week brings. And that's as far as cryptos. Again, it's very controversial. A lot of people are gambling on it. Others are trying to find fundamental reasons to be in it. Okay, I'm very neutral if you ask me about it. But it's a lot of excitement. A lot of people are trading it. Some succeeding, others not, like in everything else. So let's see if we have any new developments. And again, technically, we are below the 30, kind of a psychological key level that we had for a while. And let's see if we hold it, if we challenge it again, or we might, if we do break below it. So I guess the 100 moving average could be a next test. It would be around also the previous resistance that became a support kind of. And if we break that, we might even go to the 200 moving average, which is currently around 26.5. Okay, that's it pretty much. Just to kind of put it all together. We had an important week with Fed's decision, with few interest rate decisions. In the upcoming week, we have another 165 companies out of 500 S&P 500 reporting. We have NFPs that it's one of the segment that the Feds are really paying attention with their decisions. Next decision, I think, September 20th, so we have a way to go. But on the 16th of August, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be FOMC meeting minutes. So the meeting we just had, they're going to announce the minutes of it, pretty much what they spoke about and the opinions and so on. So it's important. And again, few interest rate decisions as we spoke. NFPs, big companies as Apple and Amazon reporting. It's going to be an exciting week. I hope you prepare for that. Get some rest. We still have a weekend. And have an amazing and successful and productive week. All the best. We'll be back next week. Take care.